Do you want your child to be more engaged and learn more through story time? You've come to the right place. I'm Giovanna, an early years lead teacher and passionate storyteller, and I'd love to help you feel more confident when you open up a book and start reading to your little one. So sit tight, here are my 6 top tips to help you. Tip number 1 is you need to make story time feel like a treat. So you need to get really excited about it firstly, because if you're not excited, your child definitely won't be. And choose a really special place in the house. Maybe it can be in a cozy corner, or perhaps you can build a little den and then sit in the den to read the story. You can snuggle up with a blanket, or maybe even your child can choose a favorite little toy or a book buddy. Our book buddy is Eddie the elephant. So really make it feel very special. Even though you may be exhausted after a really long day, just pretend you're excited for your child. And another tip would be maybe now and then to get a special guest reader. So that could be your child's granny, or maybe a big brother or another sibling, just to keep it different and special every single day. Tip number 2 is to use age-appropriate books. Now I say use, not choose, because it's really lovely if your child has that feeling of choosing and feels independent. So perhaps you can even take 3 books out from the bookshelf and let your child choose out of those 3 so that you know they are at the right developmental level for your child. Remember also that pictures are so important when reading to little ones. So even if maybe some parts of the story have loads of text and it's too much for your child, you can just read the pictures. So for example, like this page from Superworm, instead of reading all the text, you could say, oh wow, I can see Superworm is so proud because he saved his friend. And look, I can see the toads are smiling with so much happiness. So are the snails and all the little beetles and bugs. They're so happy for Superworm, instead of reading all the long text. So you can always adapt. Don't be afraid to adapt. And if your child really wants to keep reading the same story over and over again, please don't worry. It's so good to have favorite stories. And each time they're reading, they're learning something new from the story. And even if they're able to repeat parts of the story and eventually they can read the story to you, that is a fantastic skill to learn in early years. A tip for this though, if you do want to eventually change over from this favorite story, why not change the books that you have on your bookshelf for your child? Rotate them, keep them in boxes, and in that way your child is exposed to way more stories than just having one bookshelf. Tip number 3 is to set the scene before reading. This is when you really engage your child's interest from the very beginning, before you even open the book. So children are naturally so curious, so use this to help you when introducing the book. Model really good language like, I wonder what's going to happen inside the story. Here's a fun cover to look at. I can see the toothbrush and the toothpaste are busy dancing. Which room do you think they're in the house? Can you see some bubbles? Do you think they just had a bubble bath? I wonder who drew these pictures. And then you can explain the author and illustrator. Then you can also go through the parts of the book like we do on our channel. So the front cover, the title, the spine, the back cover, and the blurb. So you really just want to build suspense and anticipation, get some predictions going, and then when your child's ready, you can start reading. Another thing I like to sometimes do is after discussing the front cover, we can say, should we have a quick peep inside? I think there might be a sponge involved too. Maybe they're going to wash something. Should we start reading? And then you can start reading the story. Tip number 4 is to pretend you're on stage. Now this means go all out with facial expressions, movement, actions, sound effects, props, whatever you've got nearby or whatever you can do yourself to make your child really feel like they're inside that book or inside that story. Do it. It is so worth it. If you're reading a bedtime story, you may prefer to keep that more calm and more quieter. So it definitely depends on what time you're reading the story. And also if your child's able to let them join in with actions, it really helps with understanding. So here's a page from The Color Monster and my voice would change. This is anger. It blazes red like the fire. Anger can make you want to stomp. Should we stomp our feet? Stomp, 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 and roar, and shout, It's not fair. Look, I can see this monster's got a big frown. Can you frown your face? So really, really change it up when you're using different expressions. And remember that being silly is a language that children connect to. So if you are going to use silly voices, it is definitely going to be worth it. Have fun. Tip number 5 is to build on vocabulary. There's going to be loads of new words in books that your child doesn't understand, but don't be too quick to explain the meaning straight away. That's the beauty of books. So if you're reading and a new word pops up, let your child have some time to evaluate the pictures, really listen to the sentences, and then maybe try and gather what a new word might mean. So for example, in Stickman over here, when we get to this page and it says, "A mast," yells the dad, "an excellent mast." Your child might not know what a mast is, but they can look at the picture. You can help with building some words around it by saying, "I wonder what that mast could be. I can see the dad holding something that's got the little sail material here. I wonder what the mast could be if it's going to hold up the sail." Let your child think about it and then you can explain it. Also, encourage your child to ask what a word means if they don't yet know, because it is really good to have that confidence. If they're asking you at home, then they'll definitely be more confident to put their hand up in the classroom and ask the teacher what a new word means. And finally, tip number 6 is to chat about the story. Now, this is again really nice bonding time. So I'd advise doing it mostly towards the end of the story, because sometimes asking too many comprehension type questions while reading can interrupt the flow of the book. So doing it at the end is a really good opportunity to see what's your child's opinion of the story too, and let them express their preferences. Discussing the pictures can also help them, maybe by saying, "I wonder why the character did this," or "Do you think that was a good idea? What would you have done?" So those sort of questions really help your child to get their own opinion and to express themselves. And if you can link the story to your child's own real life experiences, that's an added bonus. You could say, "Oh, I wonder where Sweet Potato is. I can see some groceries on the back shelves and lots of yummy vegetables. Have we been here before? This reminds me of when we went to Tesco's to buy all the things for dinner. Which vegetable did you like to eat most for dinner?" So linking what's happening in the book to a real life experience just makes it that much more meaningful. And if your child's at that stage of starting to read, you can also break down some of the words orally for them to put together. So for example, over here, "Oh no, look, someone's drawn on broccoli's face," and they can hopefully put the sounds together and blend them for the word. Your child is at the vulnerable age now where you can instill that love for reading. So we hope you found these 6 tips really helpful in starting your child's journey to becoming a lifelong reader. If you have found it beneficial, please send this video to any mom friends or any parent groups or any family members that you want to be your special guest reader. And look out on our channel with Eddie for loads more stories. We will see you then. Bye-bye.